On a cold February night in 2004, a young woman crashed her car on a quiet rural road in New Hampshire. Witnesses saw her standing near the vehicle. She appeared shaken, but not injured. Less than 10 minutes later, she was gone. No confirmed sightings, no phone activity, no trace of where she went. More than 20 years later, her disappearance remains unexplained. Her name was Maura Murray. She was 21 years old, a nursing student. By most accounts, intelligent, driven, and private. Nothing about her life suggested she was about to vanish. But in the days before that night, something began to unravel. In early February, Maura emailed her professors. She said there had been a family emergency, that she needed a few days away. There was no such emergency. She packed some of her belongings, withdrew nearly all the cash from her bank account, bought alcohol. Then she got into her car and drove north. No one knows exactly where she planned to go. At the time, Maura had been under stress. She had recently been involved in minor legal trouble. There were issues at school, and personal struggles she didn't openly talk about. Friends later described her as overwhelmed, but not unstable. She didn't say goodbye. She didn't leave a note. She simply left. On the evening of February 9th, 2004, Maura was driving along Route 112 near the town of Haverhill, New Hampshire. The road was narrow. The weather was cold. Snow lined the shoulders. At approximately 7:27 p.m., her car slid off the road and struck a snowbank near a sharp curve. The damage was not severe. The airbags did not deploy. The car was still drivable. A local resident noticed the crash and stopped to help. He later told police that Maura appeared shaken, but physically fine. She declined his help. She specifically asked him not to call the police. He found this concerning and called them anyway. When police arrived less than 10 minutes later, Maura was gone. Her car was locked. Her belongings were still inside. There was no sign of where she had gone. No obvious footprints leading away from the scene. Only silence. Inside the car, investigators found her phone. It was never used again. They also found directions printed out, suggesting she may have been heading toward a nearby town or lodge. But her final destination remains unknown. Search efforts began almost immediately. Police searched the surrounding area on foot. Dogs were brought in. Helicopters scanned the forest. Volunteers joined the effort. Nothing was found. One detail stood out. Search dogs followed Maura's scent from the car, and then lost it in the middle of the road, as if she had entered another vehicle or vanished into thin air. The temperature that night dropped quickly. Hypothermia was a real risk. Some investigators believed she may have fled into the woods to avoid police, become disoriented, and succumb to the cold. But extensive searches over the years found no remains. No clothing, no physical evidence. As time passed, the case grew stranger. No confirmed sightings of Maura were ever reported. Her bank accounts remained untouched. Her social security number was never used again. It was as if her life had simply stopped. Public interest in the case grew. Online forums formed. Independent investigators analyzed every detail, Podcasts and documentaries brought renewed attention. Each theory was examined, then challenged, then examined again. One theory suggests Maura planned to disappear, that she was overwhelmed and chose to start over. But this theory raises questions. She left behind close family, future plans, and no clear means to survive long-term. There is no evidence she successfully built a new life. Another theory suggests she died in the wilderness, that her body remains undiscovered. But the area around the crash site has been searched repeatedly over 2 decades. The lack of physical evidence makes this difficult to accept. A third theory suggests foul play, that someone stopped and offered help, that Maura, vulnerable and alone, accepted a ride, and that something went wrong. The timing would have been incredibly tight, but not impossible. What makes this case so unsettling is how public it was. Maura disappeared from the side of a road, near homes, with witnesses nearby, with police only minutes away. And yet, she was never seen again. Her family never stopped searching. Years passed. Hope remained. Then faded. Then returned again. Every possible lead was followed. Every rumor investigated. Still, nothing definitive emerged. Today, Maura Murray's disappearance remains one of the most discussed missing person cases in modern America. Not because of what we know, but because of what we don't. Somewhere between that dark road and the passing of time, the truth was lost. Whether Maura ran, hid, was taken, or died alone, no one can say for certain. What we do know is this: she vanished in a matter of minutes, and the silence that followed has lasted more than 20 years.